Welcome to the Carson Career Spring Series. I'm Amy Tejeda Lunn, and I am the Industry Connections Coordinator for the Carson College of Business. And myself and my colleague Leanne will be facilitating today's presentation, Career Insights, Optimizing LinkedIn, Handshake, and AirMeet. So really excited to get into today's event, but just wanted to go over a few key guidelines. As we present, please try to mute your microphone upon entry. If possible, turn on your video so that we can see your wonderful faces as we go through this presentation. There will be a Q&A section at the end, and you'll be able to ask about any of these three topics that we'll cover briefly today. You are more than welcome to throw questions into the chat as we are presenting, and we'll try to catch those, take turns kind of catching those if those come our way. And then just know that WSU students, there will be a survey that is dropped in the chat at the end of the session. So with that, also know that the session is being recorded for educational purposes. And with that, let's start with our presentation. Oh, Leanne, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Leanne Ralston, and I'm a career consultant with the Carson College of Business in the Carson Center, and I'm excited to be here with Amy, and we'll give you just a little bit of an overview of LinkedIn, Handshake, and AirMeet. But one of the things that I want to talk about first is the purpose of all of these platforms. Basically, it boils down to marketing yourself. They all help you market yourself to potential or prospective employers. Handshake and LinkedIn are probably the two that are the most similar, and they have profiles of you and some history of you, your education, some of your experiences, things of that nature. And AirMeet is the platform that you will use in events coming up that will help you network. All of these will help you connect with those employers and get you ready for the workforce. So one of the first things that you want to do is to prepare yourself for, making the best first impression. And I always tell students, do your research on you. And that includes creating a document, and some call it a master resume, that has all of your history in it. And I talk about history meaning your public self. I don't care if you're married or things like that, or how many kids you have, or none of that, but things like all of your jobs and everything that you did at each of them, all of your education and what you learned at each of those institutions, things of that nature. There's going to be a lot more than what is ever ends up on your resume or on your LinkedIn or on your Handshake profile. But if you do that research first, then you have all the material that you need in order to make these profiles look the best and to prepare a targeted resume for, networking events such as what will be held on AirMeet. The next thing you need to consider is, yes, get that pile of information and save it somewhere. But then also consider, what's your goals? What do you want? When you go to a networking event, one of the first things there, an employer may ask you is, so, what do you want? Do you want an internship? Do you want to become an accountant? What do you want to do? What do you want? And that's very important to be able to articulate that, because that's going to come through clearly when you create things, for instance, like your Handshake account and your LinkedIn accounts. And so consider what your goals are. And then you're able to fill out these things a lot easier. Amy, you're muted.
There we go. I was just like so engaged. Yeah, so starting off with Handshake. So Handshake is a platform used by WSU to access career fairs, events, internship and job opportunities, company info, networking opportunities, as well as the ability to connect with career consultants. So one of the interactive points of this is I would love for all of you to just open a tab and type in that web page. We're also going to drop the link in the chat, or so just log into your Handshake account. Let me just make sure we do that. If you can grab that, Leanne, for people in the chat. But if not, just type in joinhandshake.com and it will come up. And so what I'll do is I'll show you first a quick little video on that. Let me just switch with you, Leanne, to share my screen. And let me get, while you guys are looking at that, let me just show you this quick video here. Oh, hold on one second. We just have to make sure I shared my audio there. There we go. Important details here, y'all. All right.
When I was trying to look for a summer internship this past spring semester, I went around using different job sites that I could find. They weren't really personalized to what I was looking for. A lot of them were very general postings, clearly looking for more experienced professionals in the field. Handshake has been really helpful for me because everything that came onto my results were looking for people my age, people with my experience in terms of what I was studying at school.
When we got to college, we pretty much had to fend for ourselves.
Handshake is a really great platform for students because it connects students like me with a bunch of opportunities that we wouldn't have had earlier. And I've seen how much access students now have to different internships and full-time jobs that we didn't have with our previous system.
I only get notifications about, like, here is a legal job that you're interested in, or here's a political job that you're interested to. I definitely appreciate that because it made me more aware that, like, what I want to do has, like, so many different avenues.
Handshake is so powerful. It's in a very unique position to offer a reviews and Q&A platform from not only alumni, but students as well. I have learned a lot about what it takes to succeed in the tech industry and even learn what I can do with my major.
When I first heard from Chase, it was super surprising. It definitely gave me a sense of confidence that there are things that I could achieve that I never thought I could.
I didn't know how to look or where to ask, but on Handshake, I found so many part-time jobs around campus that will work with your schedule, and then I found other internships. It just makes it easier for students and for everybody.
I put in the filters for what I was looking for specifically, a film internship in LA where I'm from. And in about a day, I heard back from 3 different employers, all reaching out to set up interviews, and I ended up getting the job.
Over summer break, I got an email from Handshake. The European Union had reached out to me and wanted me to apply for an internship. So I did, and I got it.
When I think about what I want my career to look like, it's more than just securing financial stability. It's about being able to find a company where you can have a meaningful impact. Handshake is there for us throughout our entire job search process for every student.
Companies are looking for me and people with my sort of skills. That was like the best feeling in the world.
We're more than just a major, more than just a GPA.
I have a lot to thank Handshake for, and you will too if you give it a try.
Handshake is pretty awesome.
Handshake has opportunities for absolutely everyone, and I'm so glad that I realized that now. It's been a complete outpour of opportunities for me.
All right, so that's a lot of good stuff right there. So I'm just gonna jump right into the Handshake platform. And so this is my student profile. As part of the career teams, we always have different types of profiles, but this is so that you guys can see what I can see what you see. And so some of this information with Handshake is auto-generated. Once you become a student at WSU, they assign you a Handshake and they assign you this information. Now, let's say if I had gotten an associate's at another college, you can actually add your school and additional information to any part of your profile. But if you notice here, something that is really important is the profile completion. A lot of this is sorted out by adding a picture here, putting in your education and work experience, or filling in any of the additional details that it asks you for. So let's start with, right now it says 35%. And the first thing we talked about earlier was like how important that master resume is, because it is important to then create that specialized resume, right? So let's say that you had created that specialized resume. I can go here into my little face, into documents, and you can actually upload that PDF. And I can click on, you can click at my marketing resume that I have. Yeah, let me go zoom in. It's just a, for our purposes here, but you can actually say build your profile from this resume as a shortcut. So here it auto-generated this information. The unknown employer, we can't make sure that you can check that. The employer, let's say, is Washington State. And everything else looks good, save and approve. This one, it looks good, approve. This one, approve. And now all of a sudden my profile is complete. Profile completion is important because there are recruiters on Handshake. That's why the jobs are posted, they post them. And so there are ways for you to actually get recruiters to seek you out and say, hey, are you interested in applying for this job? This is a really important, seeing your complete profile, think about it as just putting your resume up there. Another thing that's super important in here, and then we're just going to move into jobs, is the last part is settings. And you want to always make sure that you are set to community. So that way, community or employers, right now, the only reason I have my account as private is because I have this kind of staged account. I start getting messages from recruiters wanting to recruit me, and they don't realize that I'm a staff person and this is just a profile. So just check your settings, make sure you're in community, and then start looking for jobs. So let's start doing that. Oh, gotta do did it sign me out of everything? It sure did. Oh, okay.
Amy, we have a question
Yes.
about, and I don't know if you want to address this or if you want me to address it. Is Handshake something we will only use in college for internships and first career jobs, or is it used in the future as well?
So as a WSU student, you actually have access to Handshake as an alumni past graduation. So so yes, you will use it. You will definitely use it through your entire WSU career as an active student. Post student, when you become an alumni, what you want to do is contact the student center here at WSU, and then we can activate your account as an alumni, and you can continue to search for jobs and have access to that bit of information. So let me just get back here. Sorry, we're gonna go into jobs, internships, events, and appointments really quickly here. So I'm gonna switch over one more time. Sorry, I had to log in. Here we go. We all know that we have to do our OKRA. So here we're looking at jobs really quick. For those who are in senior or master students currently, you can do a couple of different things here, and it applies to really both internships and jobs. You can have filters where you are looking for maybe just on-campus jobs, where you're looking for work studies if you have that status. You can search jobs by industry, by major. I would suggest industry gives you a little bit more of a wider range, or if you're looking for a very specific employer, you can actually put their name here and see what jobs come up. So I'm going to choose by industry. I'm going to go, let's see, what's a good industry? I'm going to go into advertising and PR. I'm a marketing major, right? And so it's going to be, and I want only full-time because I'm graduating. So it found me 59 jobs. Now you have to do your due diligence and research your employers, read these, the details that are here. But some features that apply to both internships and jobs, you can bookmark it if you're really interested in something. They also have here some of the standard things that they, when it's posted, what is required. It also has here that do I have the right GPA they're looking for? Do I am I the right school year? Am I the right major? And you can choose things like, you can all do all these custom things into your setting, so that it's very much for anyone that wants to do it. So you can also talk to maybe possibly other people in the Handshake network, not just WSU, who are working for this company. I might send this message to Jesse and be like, "Hi Jesse, I'm a senior at WSU. I was just wondering if I saw on Handshake you were part of an intern here. Would you mind telling me about it?" So again, networking and connecting. All right, I'm just gonna jump right into events, y'all. So so on Handshake, you'll see that you'll have a good saturation of events from every single campus, and some of them are from employer-hosted events. So those of you who are on the amplifier track, this is a very accessible, easy way to start going to events and meeting those requirements. So again, you can add a filter. Are you looking for an employer? All of them are virtual sessions. This is back before the pandemic, everyone. So let's call it virtual session. That will not filter anything at this point. But let's say I am looking for something from Slalom, right? So this is a company I wanted to see Slalom, and it looks like they're doing something with the Carson College of Business, wink, wink. And so I wanted to attend. I can click on that event and I can click register, and I can bookmark it to remind myself that it's happening. So you can, rinse and repeat for different events. The other thing that you need to just note is that career fairs. So this is the location where you would register for career networking night. So for those of you who are planning to attend career networking night, it's our big recruiting event. There's a lot of internships and jobs that are out for business majors. And so this is a great opportunity for not just business majors, but we've had communication majors that have connections here as well. There's lots of employer engagement and opportunity. And this event will be hosted in the AirMeet platform. And as you can see, I can click register and hit sit here for a bookmark, and I can read all about the event down below. Let's see, events, and so that was events and fairs. So we will remind you about that event later on, but I just wanted to make sure it's a pretty straightforward navigation. You have access to all of this information, so just take some time to just kind of click through and say, like, maybe I want to attend one thing a week or one thing every 2 weeks. Definitely this week, the Carson Career Series has some fantastic learning opportunities that are happening this week, and we'll share that a little bit later. Okay, last but not least is how to make your appointments with a career consultant. So you're like, okay, Amy, I think I really need to meet somebody about this master resume or getting that specific resume. Looks like we have some questions in the end, but I'm just going to just finish this one thought here. If you click on the Career Center, if you click on appointments, if you schedule a new appointment, it's kind of pretty straightforward. You here select your college or campus. So some of you are from different campuses that are on this call: Vancouver, Tri-Cities, Everett. Okay, this is how you get in touch with your career specialists in all of your campuses. And some of us have them in our colleges. So here in the Carson College, you would select Carson College of Business. And here you can actually select an appointment with a career consultant. There's Leanne. Woohoo! Make an appointment with her. You would select her and then pick and confirm a date and a time. And we would get those confirmations on our end. So that, in kind of a jiffy, is how you kind of navigate through Handshake. And let me just unshare my screen temporarily, because I think there's some questions in the chat. Let me just see those. Okay.
I was attempting to answer them by text since you were still talking, but one of the first one is Thomas asked if there's a seminar to prepare for the career fair, especially now that they are virtual. And this workshop, and there's several others leading up to it that will, assist you in different ways. Sorry, I have a tickle in my throat. Or you can set an appointment with one of the career consultants and we can help you one-on-one with your specific questions. I got to give drink of water.
Okay, I can get the next one. Do you have to attend the whole 3 hours of CNN if we sign up for it? No. What you want to do is be, optimize, research the employers that are going to be there. So if you go back to that career, so the CNN event is only 2 hours long though. So it's not, so it's only from 5 to 7 p.m. So make sure you put that in your calendar. And so you don't have to attend the whole time. But you might end up realizing that time really flies, especially when you start having conversations and making connections. So let's say that your goal is to meet with maybe these 3 or 4 different companies. You have to think that it might take like 15 or 20 minutes to chat with each of them. So you might be there at least an hour. And so just kind of plan your time. This is your time also. If you attend any career event, you can only get as much out of it as you put into it. So if you have if you just like to meet with 1 or 2 employers and you don't like reach out to possible new opportunities, you might miss those connections, especially if you're needing to jump into an internship coming up soon. So yeah, you do not have to attend the whole time, but I strongly encourage you to utilize this time to make those LinkedIn connections at when you have those recruiters right there. Is CNN required for the Amplifier program? It is a badge as we progress into, I believe, I'm trying to remember since there's a couple of them. I'm trying to remember which specific badge, but there is a professionalism badge where you do have to attend these career events. Right now, we have maybe Carrie. Do you know top 10 badge? I was like,
well, anything that has a networking aspect to it. So there's a professionalism one, there's an etiquette one that it can qualify for. So it all matters what tier you're in. And I can go in and put that into the chat, what badges the networking events will all satisfy. So check the chat and I'll just do that right now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie.
And just so that everyone, Carrie's
on.
Okay. All right, you're on to LinkedIn.
Keep addressing. Yeah, we'll address your questions eventually, but we have a lot to cover here. So I want to briefly go over LinkedIn. Hopefully most of you have a LinkedIn profile already, but if you're not familiar with it, it's the world's largest professional social network, basically. It's your chance to connect in a bigger sense beyond Handshake. This is probably the main one that you would go to after graduation, but certainly you need to start now. Has many of the same features as Handshake. If you'd like to go on LinkedIn right now, this is the link. It's easy, www.linkedin.com. So that being said, one of the first things you need to do is to polish your profile. And let me just show you on my own here. So when you go to your own page and you're editing it, it'll probably look something like this, only you'll have a prettier picture here of you. And you can put a background picture if you'd like. And you need
sorry, we can't see your screen.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Sorry about that. Can you see it now? Yay. Okay, so you put a good picture of yourself, or as best as you can get. With me, that's about the best I can get. You can also put a background picture here if you'd like across the banner. Your name needs to be clear. Your title, whatever that is, maybe you're a marketing student or an accounting student. Maybe that's what you would put now. But as you get closer to graduation, you would put something different. You can, some criteria that you need to have a little paragraph about you, what it is that you're going after, what it is that you want. Remember at the very beginning, I said you need to know what you want. So this is a good place to put it, to put a little profile about you and what it is that you want. That's your first impression. It's kind of like your elevator speech in a way. And then put some experience on there, jobs that you've held, major, like some of you are in groups like fraternities and sororities where you hold important offices. Like if you're the president of your sorority, let's say, that goes under experience, not volunteerism. So you would have all of this, all your experiences, all your education, and put things that you were involved in, like, you know, clubs and organizations, things of that nature. Any special certifications, licenses that you have, all of these are important first impression things. Skills and endorsements, you can get those from your connections. And those look pretty good because those are people who you know, who can say, yeah, this person can do this. Accomplishments, these can include organizations, publications, languages, things of that nature. And one tip to make your feed more interesting is start following a lot of people. I mean, it could be just about anyone, everyone from an actress to Coug Spurs to your college, you know, hopefully you're all following WSU. And those are main things in your profile that you should have. And one place that you can go here, edit profile and URL. I highly recommend that you shorten your URL because then you can put it on your resume without all the extra numbers and such. I do recommend that you edit that. I also highly recommend that you look at your visibility. Do you want everyone to see this? Do you want employers to see this or not? Things of that nature. There's a lot you can do with your LinkedIn, but it's basically same basic information as your Handshake profile. But you should have a summary, experiences, education. Projects are another good thing to have on here. Let's see, just a second. It's thinking. So that's one thing that's pretty cool. Like for some of you, projects are a huge thing in your field. Like if you're in MIS or marketing, as you can see, I put some projects here. You can put them under your education or your experiences. Probably some of you will be putting it under your education because you're still in school. But for some of you, maybe you have projects that are outside of school or with something with your work. And so that is a very good thing to have. One thing that you'll want to do is you want to make connections. And connections is your network. And connections could be, I would start with those that you know, your professors, your classmates, those that you've worked for, people like that, and build out from that. And one thing that's great is LinkedIn will suggest people that maybe you want to connect with. This is a list of people that, you know, I've connected with. But, you know, if you want to search, you can find people, you know, from Washington State University, for instance, and, you know, see who you know there that'll connect with you. One thing that's really cool about LinkedIn is you can go to like Washington State University. Now, if you're online already, just do a search like I did of Washington State University in this little search part here. And you can see this cool little tool here called Alumni. This is the coolest tool, I think, ever for networking. Look at this. There's 143,000 alumni in the LinkedIn system. And I want to, let's say, I want to find people that are in the Seattle area. So I clicked on the greater Seattle area. Here, I can show more here. See, it shows all different areas, or you can type in something else. But let's just say I want Seattle. I want people that worked at Nordstrom's. And so it narrows it down. It's 312 alumni that are in the Seattle area that work at Nordstrom's. And you can go to the next panel of sorting, and you could say, I want someone that does marketing. And you just click on that. And now we're down to 81 alumni. And guess what? They're all down here. And it shows me if there's a second connection, a first connection, whatever. But I might want to connect with one of these and ask them, you know, things about their job. Hey, I see you're a Coug and you're in marketing and you work at Nordstrom's. Nordstrom's is my dream employer and I want to do marketing for them. So you can connect with these people. That's what networking is all about. So that's a great way to connect with people. And, you know, I could connect with any of these people here. It looks like I'm second connection to quite a few of them, which is kind of cool. So that's one thing that you can do. Another thing, again, just like Handshake, you can do jobs. And this has a pretty robust job search tool. Same thing. Let's say you want to do, well, let's say you want to do finance. So looks like I've done quite a few searches for finance. And my computer's a little slow, sorry about that. Okay, I have over 600,000 results here. We went down a little bit. I would say experience level, internship, and I want it to be.
Just FYI, your audio is coming in and out a little bit. Okay.
Oh, great. I'm going to turn off my video. That might help. So let's say you want an internship in finance in the Seattle area. And then you can do a search. It's a pretty robust system, so it's a great way to search. But that's just the tip of the iceberg with LinkedIn. It's a pretty powerful tool. And I think you'll like it if you're not in it already. So polish your profile and then look at all the bells and whistles that LinkedIn have. Explore them, you know, update your LinkedIn profile, look for jobs, things like that. And that's going to help you market yourself to employers. Now we're going to talk about AirMeet.
And then just a quick, yes, we're going to pivot into the platform. We're writing on time. I have two quick things. There was somebody that asked, I got a message in my LinkedIn that said it was sponsored. What does that mean? So there are employers and companies that they pay to get certain messaging out to certain groups of people that fit maybe the criteria that they're looking for a position. So what that is just somebody kind of is sending like a mass message to a group of persons that maybe you meet that criteria. And if that opportunity does look interesting, you could reply back. But that's usually kind of what that is usually when someone reaches out to you, it's very much a personal like, hey, Leanne, I was just looking and I saw that you're a career consultant at WSU. Can I make a connection with you? And so actually one of the things that we do want to share is that we at the Carson College, we do have a document that we created, which is called How to Use the Alumni Tool on LinkedIn. And so this is just a PDF that I'll just try to drop in the chat before we go, or maybe if we can drop, maybe I have my colleague, Ashley, if you have it readily available, if you want to drop it into the chat. But it basically tells you how to request informative interviews with someone that you're making a connection with. So we are not going to be able to get into that, but we'll just drop that resource in the chat. So AirMeet. So we just talked about, let me just pivot with that. We just talked about how in Handshake, you have to register for Career Networking Night on Handshake. The reason for that is that you will receive an invitation link within 48 hours before the event. So that link will have not just how to get into the event, but also how to, what are some of the tips, tricks, and things to make sure that you're prepared. So if we go to the next slide. Honestly, getting started on AirMeet is pretty straightforward. We don't need to kind of go through that process, but just know that literally you just register on Handshake. You then, when it's close to the event or right before the event, depending on when you registered, you will receive an email with event link and information. You will then just proceed to register for the event. Just click on that link. You would log in. thank you. You would just log in with your WSU email. It will literally take you, I don't know, maybe a minute total to do this. You would put your full name, your major, which is your designation, your organization, which is WSU, and your location, which is what campus you're coming from. Then you just select next and then continue, and then you're into the event. So it doesn't take very long at all. You don't have to create these big profile or anything like that. Just make sure that you also, that you put that you mark your the event on your calendar and things like that. So we're just going to jump from there. And then if you want to show the next slide. So I do have a live version I can show you temporarily, but this slide kind of gives you an idea of what the event will look like. You will see that there are going to be tables, and on those tables, when you complete that profile, you want to use your professional headshot. You don't want to do not use your selfie, because this is the first impression an employer will see. So you want to use your professional headshot. They will ask you if you want to add a picture. And so when you hover over someone's name, you'll see all of those information. You'll see their designation, their major, and you will see that not just for yourself, but for all of your peers that attend, and also for all the employers that are present. So everyone, you will see their face, their name, their title, designation, and things like that. Now with this image here, it's a still, but you see that over in table 5, it looks like there are 4 people, and then there are 4 chairs that are empty there. So that means that if we were in the platform right now, the 4 of us could jump onto that, and that's all it really is. So for CNN, this is very specific to CNN, the tables will be set in 3s. So there'll be 2 representatives and 1 student at every table. So just know that with CNN, you'll see 3 chairs only. And so if you see us in it, 1 single empty chair, that means that's your chair. Yeah, you should be in there having a chat with them. Let's see. Other features that you really, there's actually a live chat feature, both in this room that you see here. There'll be down below this picture, kind of cuts it off a little bit, but there is a live chat feature, and you can direct message anyone in the event. So if you wanted to like message Leanne and ask her a question while you're there, she's there. Just send her a text. So once you get into the platform itself and you sit down in this chair, what happens, right? It looks exactly like this call. So you will have 3 persons on video with microphone, camera, audio. So you can see the 2 recruiters and yourself. You would be able to do all the things that you normally would do with Zoom, with the exception of like dropping a document. But if you have your LinkedIn, you can share your LinkedIn profile with that employer. If you have your resume in a digital form, we strongly recommend that as well, so that you're able to share that in the chat with recruiters in real time. So if you want to go to the next slide. So we talked about profiles and event sessions. So another quick thing that is event sessions. So for career networking night, like I said, there will be 1 welcome session. So if everybody comes in right at 5 o'clock, about 2 or 3 minutes after that, we'll start a very brief welcome session. We'll review this exact bit of information that you're hearing. So for some students, this will be new stuff like, oh, I can do this, I can do that. So we'll just have a quick welcome to our employers and just some reminders for students. Something that's also super exciting about being on this virtual platform, there will be a student help desk at Career Networking Night on AirMeet. So if you have a question about, like, you've just met with an employer and you're like, what do I do now that I met with them? Like, how do I continue? You know, you will have access to career specialists that will be in those tables, and they'll be able to give you some advice and kind of coach you on what to do next, or maybe make some suggestions for you on employers you should connect with. So there'll also be usually at least 1 tech person from the Carson Center in the event itself. But one of the strong things that will help a lot with AirMeet and having any issues is making sure that you are using it when the event is running. Make sure that you are on your laptop or on a desktop. Make sure that you're using Chrome Yep, and then making sure that you are for sure. I'm trying to see Chrome laptop. And just making sure for sure that you are not using your audio video devices, your cameras on another platform. Like, so if you were chatting with someone on Google Teams or something, and then you're like, okay, I have to go to this event fair, the camera might register you, might not cross you over. So just make sure that you're checking that you're just using your conferencing tool for just this one event. Right now, ignore that last bullet. There is the AirMeet app is still in development. We just got word from the specialists. We just spoke to them today. And so it will not be ready for CNN. So unfortunately, there will not be an app version available. You must use your laptop and or desktop for those. And let's see, and I think I do have, I think that's all we got. So questions. So somebody in the chat said, when you talk to employers, is it like an interview, or can you ask them questions about their job? Well, when you go to networking night, you can ask them about their company, you can ask them about their opportunities, you can ask them about their work culture. One of the really big important parts is research that employer before you jump in. Make sure that you know what kind of tailored questions, like if they have a very robust website that tells you like exactly the jobs and what everything is like. So what is your question to that? What is your way to start that conversation? But it is much more conversationalist. So some of you are already looking at jobs, and you know that some of the, some of you have been getting that Monday morning career board, you can see that what jobs those companies and what internships those companies are offering. And if you have started that research from that Monday morning career board, you can see, you can go up to me like, oh, hey, Leanne, I see that you're with Cintas. I saw that you guys have this opportunity and name the title. Could you tell me a little bit more about what the process is? So you have that entrance to conversation. So if you aren't looking for a job, but do you have to go to CNN? You should certainly attend Career Networking Night, even if you're not looking for a job, because eventually you will be looking for an internship, and those relationships that maybe you might make a connection with a representative from a country, from a company this semester, and you're just exploring your options. And that is one of the main reasons why it's called Career Networking Night, because you're starting to build those connections. And now let's fast forward to 2 semesters from now, and now you really need an internship, or you really need a job. And you go back to that company and be like, I met up with this person last semester, and they talked to me about this role. Are there still more opportunities? So or if you see that same person again at another recruitment event, you can actually build on that experience. So hopefully that answers your question. So you don't have to go, but I mean, it helps with your amplifier requirements at every level. And also it starts building the ability to start building those opportunities before you have to need them.
Well,
Leanne or Carrie, anyone?
Yeah, it's a great place to explore and learn too. Like, what is, where are the jobs? Who is employing? And these are things that, I don't know how many of you are in just your first year or two, but I mean, honestly, you don't know what you don't know. What employers do employ, marketing people? Where are the jobs, and how do I find them? And, what are these companies? I've never heard of this company. All of this is good information for you to explore when you're at the events. And it's not, yes, it's for jobs and internships, but it's also for career exploration. And I can't emphasize that enough. That's a huge aspect to these events, is just exploring. And I've put in a couple of links to, things that are coming up, if you don't already have them, including the fall series, and, how to sign up for the the CNN that's coming up. So check those out. Wherever you're at in your education, I think it can be useful. And if nothing else, it gives you a chance to practice networking. And networking is huge in business. It is a lot about who you know. And it is, you know, they expect you to be able to articulate who you are as well. So I can't emphasize enough that these events are great practice grounds. They're great information gathering places, as well as places to find out about opportunities. So, you know, if you have the chance and you have an hour or even a half an hour, jump into it. One of the questions in the chat said something about, you know, having midterms and stuff. If you could possibly schedule in just a little bit of time, talk to just a couple of employers, spend only 30 minutes. That would be well worth your time in my books. You know, if you could squeeze that in, do it. And if you're not looking for a job, you know, again, that's fine. But
Yeah.
anyway.
I want to second what Amy and Leanne said, but one thing that I always tell my students is when you're applying for jobs, if you're just sending out resumes and you've never met anyone, you're basically just putting your hand up and like, pick me for the job. But if you have from like your freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year met employers, they know your name. So by the time you're in your senior year and you've met with Fisher Investment every year, and you have asked deeper questions because you started to understand their business, they're going to see your resume come across and they're going to pull it out and they're going to say, oh, we need to interview Allison because she is awesome and she's on the ball and she has been working with us for years, right? So that's what you want, is for them to recognize your name when it comes across, and networking is the best way to do that. And when you go into a career fair for the first time, you're nervous because you're like, I don't know how to approach people. So you just have to start. And then by the end, when you're in your senior year, it's so easy to start conversations because you've seen these people a few times and you're not as nervous. And that's what we're trying to prepare you for, is that when it's time to apply to the job, that you're not nervous to do that. This is the whole reason people are taking out loans and going into debt, is to have a better job at the end of it. So networking and meeting people and figuring out, is this a good fit for me? And making sure that you don't get a degree in something that then you don't want that job afterwards. So as you're interviewing them and finding out if it's a good fit for you, you're able to take the classes that will make you the best fit for them, so that you're marketing yourself to be the strongest candidate.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Love that.
Thank you, Carrie.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't emphasize that enough. Do we have other questions?
Well, let's see. Just scrolling through. Oh, we got a new message. I think there's a Carrie question in there. Yes, does this workshop webinar count for Tier 1 discovery? It sure does. Make sure you submit that. So I think that's a very good question, Bethany. And so we just want to take a few moments to just here. There's a QR code here, but we also dropped the link in the chat for this event series. Currently, you are in Career Insights. Just so you know, on Tuesday, T-Mobile is having an internship Q&A. They are looking for interns for this summer. So you can just click on that link and join. It's on WebEx, so it's a little bit different platform, but works exactly like Zoom. On Tuesday, we have a very special event called Resume Refresh. So these are recruiters that will be at CNN, and they can actually give you feedback on your resume before you attend CNN. So if you were like, what does a recruiter think of my resume? Or what would they think if I showed them this? Well, if you've ever wondered that, this is a place where you can get it right directly from those recruiters, right? I mean, we could tell you what we know is what they're looking for, but if you really want to hear from that representative, they'll be able to tell you, and then you'll be able to change or update your resume appropriately in preparation for Career Networking Night. The next one that you see is an event by Slalom. So they'll be leading how to kickstart and navigating your career. So what do you do? How do you jump into a profession? And right after that, on Wednesday, on the same Wednesday as Career Networking Night, that at noontime, we're having a networking panel with employers who are attending career networking night. So that question, how do I network? Like, what do I do? What do I have, so they will tell you exactly what they do, what the impact of networking was for them and how it brought them success. We just wanted to share that. And if you want to go to the last slide, again, career networking night is happening next Wednesday. So make sure that you register on Handshake to get your event link. If you don't register on Handshake, we'll still be able to help you out, but it's way better to get all your information ahead of time so that you're prepared. And then last but not least, if you need assistance with job searches to research these employers, interview prep, please remember that on Handshake, you can meet with your career specialist. Remember that if you're in Vancouver, you would select the Vancouver office. If you're in Tri-Cities, select Tri-Cities. But all of us career specialists are here to support you and make sure that you're prepared to be ready for this career event. And also there's another one happening for hospitality called Burton Shaw 2 weeks from now. So I guess that is our last bit of information, but are there any questions based on any of the topics, LinkedIn, Handshake, AirMeet, that anyone wants to ask that came through? Well,
I would highly recommend right now that you have your school email on LinkedIn, unless you're getting ready to graduate. If you're getting ready to graduate, you might transition to your personal email, but it really doesn't matter all that much on LinkedIn, but certainly on Handshake, you need your WSU email. But on LinkedIn, the email that you use the most, and make sure that it doesn't have a cutesy sounding name to it. I mean, it might be, funny for you to be called, I don't know, cute girl 1 2 3 4, but don't have that as your professional email. You need to change that to, just some form of your name is best. Either one on LinkedIn. If you're getting ready to graduate, certainly you need to translate that to your personal email.
Yeah. Thanks, Leanne. Any other questions? Right, so everyone in the chat, if there are no other questions from the audience, that will conclude our session. Now there is a survey that is there's a survey link in the chat. Please, please, please just take a minute or two to complete that. We ask that all attendees complete the survey, hopefully before logging off. Again, thank you for coming and joining us. We look forward to making those connections. And if you're wondering that you don't know anyone on LinkedIn, you sure know us. So feel free to add us on LinkedIn and reach out. We'll love to support you any way we can. All right, everybody. We'll see you at other career events.